Good afternoon and welcome once again to Cabezon del Oro mountain, one of my favourite locations. The last time I was here, I was lamenting the fact that we had a lack of clouds, too much blue sky. Well, you have to be careful what you wish for, because today we have a lot of cloud. Now at the moment, we've got cloud in all the right places, so over the top of the mountain. We also have quite a lot of cloud off in the distance in the general area where the sun's going to be setting. Now I don't know if that means it's going to block the light or whether we'll be lucky and the clouds will break through. I've come up here because there's one image that I've had in mind for a while for a cloudy day, and I'm going to see if I can get it. So far I've walked, I suppose, just under 2 kilometres, a little over a mile, on some of the easiest parts of the trail, but now I'm heading up onto some of the steeper and more uneven parts, and I think what I'm going to do is just carry on hiking and then catch up with you a bit further along. Well, I finished the climb. I think in total from the car it's probably been about 3.5 miles, but a good 2 miles of that is uphill all the way, so it's actually quite a strenuous little walk, especially carrying all the gear. I've found a spot and I've got the composition already set up. What I'm actually hoping for is to get some nice light both in the valley and on the ridge. The sun's dipping in and out through some clouds at the moment, so it's just a case of waiting. It's pretty bright in the sky, so I'm bracketing the shots 2 stops either side because the sky is that much brighter, and because of the terrain I don't really want to use a graduated filter. In terms of setup, so I have the camera set up 18 to 105 lens, and I'm at 18mm, so I'm shooting pretty wide angle. Manual exposure, bracketed, 2 stops either side, as I said. Circular polarizer on the front, just to cut down some glare, and also just to boost the contrast and saturation a little bit in the scene. It's just a waiting game now. The sun keeps trying to creep out through the clouds, and it looks like there might be a gap coming up, and if it does, that might just put the light on the scene that I'm looking for. I'm keeping an eye on the exposure because although it's still a fair way before sunset, the light is changing a lot and we could easily end up with either an under or overexposed image. It looks like the light is coming through. You can probably see my face is lighting up, the sun is breaking through, so if it breaks through and shines in the right place, we may well have a shot here. Right, the sun's just dropping into some cloud now, and by the looks of it, by the time it comes back out again, it will be too far round to be putting light on this particular scene. So I'm glad I got here a bit earlier, and I'm hoping that I might have an image from here. It's one I've been trying to get for a while. So now that I've got the image that I planned for, I'm going to pack up here and I'm going to head down onto some of the lower trails and just see if I can find something else, maybe something for actual sunset. So as I was heading back down, it looked like we were in for a really nice sunset. I'm not sure that's going to happen now. It looks like the clouds have kind of built up along the point where the sun's going to go down, so it may not happen. There is just a hint of a gap, so it's worth hanging on to have a little look. So I've just set up, I've raced back down the mountain and set up on the side of a trail looking out towards the sunset, chosen a composition, and I'm basically just going to sit and wait and see if nature delivers for me. If it does, that would be great. I think the sun is behind a fairly thick bank of cloud at the moment. Yeah, as I expected, the sun never really broke through. It was a bit of a faint hope, to be honest. There was a lot of cloud on the horizon, and we're now well past sunset. It's not going to light up now, and even if it does, there's no light on the foreground. There was some nice clouds and some reasonably nice colour in some patches in the sky, but the light just never broke through onto the actual landscape itself. With this video, I am going to do the same as I did with the last video. I'm going to make it 2 shoots, 2 trips out. So I'm going to close off today and rejoin you again, for you in a couple of seconds, for me probably in a couple of days. See you in a bit. Good afternoon and welcome to Cap de la Horta, which is at the northern end of Alicante. I've come here this afternoon. It's about an hour and 25, an hour and 30 minutes before sunset, and I'm hoping to get a sunset shot. Not quite sure if the skies are going to play ball. There's a bit of cloud around, but whether it'll last I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I've come to this place a few times before. It's got a number of interesting features. First of all, we have an interesting coastline with some lovely rocky gullies and channels, and it's pretty windy today. I'm hoping you can hear me over the wind noise. What we've also got is a lighthouse up on top of a hill. Now I'm hoping that the combination of the coastline and the lighthouse and various other things will mean I've got something interesting to shoot this evening. Time to do a bit of exploring and see what we can find. Right, I've been doing a bit of exploring, looking at potential angles and potential compositions. The good thing about coming out early is you've got plenty of time to try and find the right angle, the right shot. Of course, the bad thing is that you might find something that looks really interesting, but you can't be sure that the conditions that you're seeing when you first check it out, in terms of clouds, etc., are going to last. At the moment, there's some cloud sitting roughly to the southwest of the lighthouse. Now if that stays, that could create a very interesting sunset, or it could block the light completely, meaning we get no colours and no light at all. And of course that cloud might not stay, it could burn off in the next half an hour. We really don't know at this point. I'll carry on exploring a bit more and see what else we can find. Right, I've picked a composition, but I don't know if it's going to work. The wind keeps getting up and stirring all the water up in the rock pool, and that's basically destroying any chance of getting reflections. But I'll give it a little while and see what happens. The sun's still a bit too high and a bit too bright, so it's creating lens flare at the moment, but we'll give it a bit longer. It's still a while to go, about 45 minutes until sunset, and I'm not really sure what's going to happen as the sun goes down. We'll see. Wow, that's got windy now. Okay, the shot I was going for with the reflections, it's just not going to work. Even the little tiny rock pools are full of ripples from the wind. So I've moved across onto a rocky area, trying to capture the waves breaking in the foreground with the lighthouse behind. Struggling still with the light at the moment because the sun's still too bright and it's creating a scene that's just too contrasty. But I'm going to hang on and see what we can get. I'm going to have soaking wet feet by the time this is over, but hopefully it'll be worth it. I'll try and give you a view of the scene in a second. That sun is breaking through beautifully now. It's making the scene very, very contrasty. No point in shooting at the moment, not at this angle, because the sun's so bright it's just causing lens flare. And you can't use the thumb over the sun trick where it's positioned at the minute, otherwise you're blocking out parts of the scene that you don't want to block out. My feet are soaked. But it's worth it. I'm actually cold. I misjudged how cold it was going to be this evening. It's actually really quite chilly. Should have brought a thicker jumper with me, thicker fleece, and maybe a woolly hat. I'm going to wait until the sun drops below the horizon and see what happens to those clouds, because they could light up very nicely, or they might not. We'll see. I may be cold, but I'm still loving this. It's great. The sky is just insanely gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous colours in the sky. It's absolutely beautiful. Because the wind's dropped, I've moved back over to my original composition, and I'm shooting with reflections. I reckon we've got seconds left. Right, that's it. It was spectacular, absolutely gorgeous. Just after the sun set, that sky just lit up. Beautiful colours and textures. And then the wind dropped just enough that the pools, the shallow pools, settled, and hopefully the reflections will come out quite nicely. So I'm really hoping I've got two good shots out of that. Right now, I've got wet feet and I'm cold. So I'm heading for home. So I'm going to call this a video. Finished. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already and you like my content, then please subscribe. Hit the little alarm bell, and that will give you a notification whenever I post a new video. So all that remains for me to say is thank you very much for watching, and until the next time, bye.